Mr Chair, I want to address Part 3 of the bill and around allowing lines companies to retail in their local areas, but I want to just reference what my colleague Damien O'Connor said about the small consumer and fair deals and fair electricity prices, and also reference what my colleague David Parker said around the insufficient competition in the market and monopolistic behaviours and the effect on consumers, and how the residential and how essentially how this industry is operating and will operate under this bill will mean that the residential cost of electricity will remain too high. And ultimately, this issue is about affordability, and it's about affordability on a whole range of different things, because when you look at how, and I'm going to tell you what it's like for the people in my constituency at the moment around the affordability or lack of affordability, but when you think about what the potential is for where this industry could be going and the other things that it could be doing, which is also about affordability, there is a lot of potential. But today I just want to share with the House that I heard from a major social service agency in Dunedin that talked to me about what it's really like for families in Dunedin right now around the affordability or lack of around electricity prices. This social service agency administers the Community Electricity Fund, which is run through the Dunedin City Council on behalf of all the local organisations. And they told me that this winter they have been inundated with inquiries, with queries, and their staff has been working all day, most days, on requests relating to power from the public. And they say that they're only one agency, and although they see a lot of applications, there are other agencies that are having their own appointments with citizens throughout the winter. And frequently they're saying, and this may seem extraordinary, but they're saying that there are it's not uncommon for people to be coming in with power bills of more than $1,000 for a month. Now, that may sound extraordinary to the House, but it isn't. And the median price for electricity for families in Dunedin and other places in this country that are cold in the winter is around $400 to $500 a month. And my colleagues have talked about the lack of ability of people to pay these to pay these bills, and the kind of indifference of the government around measures to address them. And it's interesting that during an election campaign, it's you see the members going around talking about how we must lower the price of electricity, but a bill comes into the House which is actually not going to address that at all. Many of these people are families. A number of them are people who are living on their own, and of course their bills aren't as high as that, but their bills are up around the $300 a month mark, and these are people who are on fixed incomes. And the organisation that I spoke to today gives grants through the Community Electricity Fund of up to $200, but certainly can't address many of these people's needs. So I just want to quickly talk about the future of this industry and address the issue around Part 3, which is around allowing the lines companies to retail in their local areas. And while Labor does support increased retail competition, we believe that allowing lines companies back into retail will ignore the problems that arise out of their geographic monopoly status and may actually reduce competition rather than increase it. And one of the options that I know that other of my colleagues have talked about is whether electricity lines companies could be the bearers of other services such as broadband, households, which, Mr Chair,
I call Claire Curran.
Which is probably a more efficient use of their networks, which could be about investigating and eliminating barriers to entry into the retail sector, which would be a better way of introducing competition. Now, when you're thinking about the future of this industry, which is a network industry, our networks in New Zealand are critical. The newest network that we're looking at introducing, and that there is pretty much support across Parliament around the importance of our new broadband network, if it ever actually appears, and there's a lot of talk about how that's going to be delivered. There's several ways which have been discussed by the industry around how to do that. One of them is through our national telecommunications company, Telecom, which is a monopoly, a competitive monopoly. But and the other way is around whether the electricity lines companies should have a role. And I'd just like to briefly address that, because there are some signs that the electricity lines companies do have a significant role to play in this, and this could be about where their future lies in terms of how to deliver the newest network to the country. And it would seem to be, instead of having fierce and to some extent contrived competition around which is raising the price of electricity to the ordinary citizen, that we actually look at how they could actually have a better role in delivering broadband to the country. And there's recently been an announcement by the government which could potentially be positive around how the lines companies can deliver broadband to New Zealand. There's three organisations that are lines companies that are in discussions with the government. One is in Northland, one is in the central North Island, and one's in Timaru. And I think the major issue that the country is sort of grappling with, and certainly in the telecommunications industry is grappling with at the moment, is whether or not we're going to be looking at electricity lines companies delivering broadband, or whether it's going to be a monopoly such as Telecom. And I think if we're really looking at the future of how New Zealand can move forward in this area, and we're not going to be looking at, higher prices for the ordinary citizens of New Zealand in electricity, and pressure that's being put on families and our older citizens, that this is the area where the government should really, and it would be really good to have some response from the Minister today around that issue, and whether they believe that this is a viable place for the government to be moving.
I call